Haunted Hangover presents Haunted Hall.
Welcome to another edition of Haunted Hall. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by Manny. Thumbs up, not a single peep. That's it. It's sign language, not an audio format at all. It's a podcast. People that are listening only to the audio version cannot see Manny's signs over here. That's how he greets. That's how he terrible. That's how you greet everyone on the show. Silence. You become a mime.
That was such a bad sign language thing. I'd be canceled over that. That should be offensive.
Probably. Well, you kind of gave a thumbs up.
It was a thumbs up. It was
it was a thumbs up, and you kind of move your fingers a little bit. There you go. I'm sure that means something in sign.
It probably does. It probably means something not good, because this can't be good.
It's probably like go to hell. That's what you're telling everyone. Go to hell.
Telling them all, I hate sign language people. I hate deaf people. Is that what did I just say that?
There we go. Starting the show off with a bang. There you go. Derogatory comments towards deaf people.
Unintentional.
Deaf. Not deaf
unintentionally.
People. Deaf. I just said deaf people. Okay.
See? It's easy. It's easy to just...
It's easy to just mess things up and just sound horrible.
In every way, shape, and form. Start the show over.
Yes. In your case, you didn't sound horrible. You just signed horrible. Mm-hmm. Welcome to Haunted Hall.
Yes.
Now.
Here we go.
Funny enough, last time we did this, the film we covered involved a bunch of shitty teenagers.
It did.
Murdering someone, and that person coming back to life as a zombie and murdering said shitty teens. The movie we're talking about today involves a group of shitty teens, and dare I say, I think one of them is a little shittier than the kids in Zombie Nightmare. I would say one of them.
He's borderline.
Borderline.
He's pretty close. I mean, the guy in Zombie Nightmare was pretty rapey.
I would say this guy's a little rapier.
This is rapier. They would be friends for sure.
Yes, definitely.
These two would chill.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And the movie we're talking about is Hell High, by the way. Here, pointed out right at the top. Hell High. And unintentionally, this is sort of like a double feature in a way. They would play well together. Completely.
I think they kind of would, yeah.
Again, there are certain elements that are a little different. You got zombie, not many zombies in on Zombie Nightmare. You got a zombie. In this, you don't have many zombies. No. You've got a voodoo priestess.
They're both revenge movies.
Both revenge movies.
Yes.
Dare I say one's probably got a higher budget than the other.
Oh, yes.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And even that high budget is questionable. In the movie we're talking about. But yes, Hell High.
Growing up for most kids is a lot of fun. They're always doing things they shouldn't. We all remember our own secret little fantasies about our favorite teacher.
Mr. Dickens, file those test papers.
These test papers, ma'am? Did you say file them?
File.
Yes, ma'am.
If you think these kids are a problem during the day, you should see them after school.
Hell High.
So what do you want to do tonight?
I've been thinking about it.
Some kids just don't know when they've gone too far.
Do you like it this way? Yeah, you like it. You'll never learn, you retard.
I'm gonna nail this bitch.
Hell High.
Before we jump into the movie, let's talk about the releases and where you can see this movie. And I'll start where you can watch this digitally for our non-physical media people that don't collect movies. The only place you can currently rent this and stream it, and I think I saw possibly Amazon. That was a big question mark because I don't think I saw it available there. The first thing that came up is Apple. Which
well, it's probably for rent on Apple TV.
Yeah, that's all. That was like the first thing I saw was if you have Apple TV, you can rent Hell High. It was like one of the first things to pop up of where you could watch this. Like currently, it's not streaming on Tubi. It's not streaming on Amazon Prime. It's not on Pluto TV. Apple TV, renting it for $7.99 is where you can find it currently to watch. If you're curious to check it out.
It is, well, I mean, it's on the Arrow player.
Yes, and Arrow's
yes,
kind of.
It's on Arrow's thing, yes.
But that's their streaming service, but it's super limited, right? Last time I looked at it, it's not the biggest catalog.
Well, I think it's literally just their films. Because, so I'm looking at it right now. I see the trailer, Hell High with audio commentary. Hell High, a.k.a. Real Trouble. That's another title I did not know it under. Yeah, so there's that and there's other stuff. But it looks like, on their streaming service, you can watch it there. And I think you can watch most of their films and a lot of the features, special features, and the commentaries and extras and all that stuff. That's pretty much what it's limited to.
Yeah, because I'm assuming that the license for the movie, besides Arrow, I'm guessing Apple's the only one that has it. Maybe they have a working relationship with Arrow Video. I'm assuming. Possible, because it's not anywhere else.
Yeah.
I thought it was on Tubi. I was wrong.
I think it was at one point.
It might have been at one point. Yeah. But right now, if you want to watch this on streaming, the only way to do it is through Apple or the Arrow service.
I think it is on Amazon to rent.
So it is on Amazon. Amazon as well. How much?
And Google Play, same prices. They're all $1.99 to rent.
$1.99. Okay.
To rent.
Okay.
Yeah. 99 cents, $1.99. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube, Google Play, Amazon, and Apple. So it is on the basics, the standards for streaming.
Just not
VOD.
free.
For
you
VOD,
gotta pay.
no.
You gotta pay. VOD, you gotta pay. But some of the other releases I want to focus on, leading to the one that we're going to be covering and talking about. Obviously, this is an 80s slasher, and I'm using that word loosely. So, of course, it had a VHS release. Now, this is where dates for this movie get a little... We even said this off before we started recording, that similar to Zombie Nightmare, the dates are kind of all over the place. Now, I don't want to get into when this was officially released, what's on it, because we're going to get to that in a second. But apparently, the first VHS, from what I could find online, is a Palace Video or Palace Videos release. But it's not titled Hell High. It's titled Raging Fury. Yeah. It's one of the first VHS I could find. To the point that even the cover itself is different. It's not the cover that we all kind of know this movie for, with the kids inside of the convertible and the silhouette of Brooke Storm or Miss Storm in the background holding the what's it called? The fire poker. This is her, like kind of a painting of her with the poker above, like lifting it above her head, the car in the distance, the house in the distance. That's that cover. The cover Manny's holding up currently, if you're watching this episode. So that is the original, according to the internet, 1987 VHS cover. Yeah. And then after that, we jump to the 1989 Prism Video release.
The Palace Video VHS that I found is a completely different art.
Okay, which one do you have? This is where I said it gets a little
actually
loopy.
This art.
Okay. I didn't even come across that one.
This is the Palace Video art
Okay.
on the VHS Raging Fury. That's it, and it said Raging Fury on the bottom there.
Okay. So there are several, I guess, covers, because if you go online now, and because I don't own this on VHS, I don't own a copy of Hell High on VHS. Currently, I think you can get a copy for like $60 to $110, $120. The covers I saw were the image of her with the pitchfork, not pitchfork, the poker, the fire poker above her head in the house in the distance.
Yes.
And I did not come across that one.
Yeah,
at
that
all.
one.
So,
That one is the Palace Video. The Raging Fury, this one, the fire poker one.
Yeah.
This was the UK release.
Okay.
And Splendid Video.
Oh, okay.
Expansion Video. Yeah, those are that's on those covers. But
So
it looks
that's
like
I'm guessing those were just some of the foreign releases of the movie. I guess that was the art that they got for the most part. That's what it seems
possibly,
like.
yeah, it looks like
Yeah.
Splendid Video might be, it looks like German.
Okay. They always get cooler
And
covers,
Expansion Video also, it looks German. Or French.
man. Yeah.
French or something. I can't tell what language this is. It's all blurry from what I'm looking at. I can't like, yeah.
Yeah. But to go back, the Prism 1989 Prism release is probably the most mainstream and easy to find version. Right now, if you go on eBay and you look up Hell High VHS, the Prism release is the one you'll come across. That's the most popular and easily accessible VHS release
Yes, the
of
class
this
of
movie.
1984 looking
Yeah.
type of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's a good way of describing it. That's
there is
literally what it looks
another
like.
one here I see though from Rondo Video when it's called Raging Fury, and it's very like it almost looks like Deadly Friend, where it's got a pic of the teacher's face in like the top here. It's got a hand over it, and the little girl with her hands over her mouth, and a knife at her, and another. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. This is Rondo Video. So that's a completely different art, which I don't even have a copy of here.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the covers here, and I could see the ones. These are definitely foreign releases of this movie. It has to be. So, yeah, again, the main one's that Prism release. And then up until that point, the film was released on DVD in 2004 for the first time through Shriek Show, which is this DVD right here.
Okay.
Which once again has the same kind of a re-edited version of that cover, that VHS cover, because if you look at it, it's literally
like
the
school
kids.
ties.
Yeah, it's literally the kids. Yeah, that's right. That's what it looks like. It's the kids in the car with the silhouette in the background. And then this time there's a bunch of lettering and stuff and words on it. And the big sell is the Joe Bob commentary on that was like this release. I remember when I bought this at Kim's Video, which has come up on the show before. I remember I bought this and seeing Joe Bob's name on it is what sold me. That's legit. I saw that. I was like, Joe Bob commentary. I'm definitely getting that.
Is it? I have the opening. He does an opening. Is there more than that on that copy?
No, so it's just an opening. That's it. So it's weird, and then this is a little bit of a tangent, but in between Monster Vision ending and then what is it, Last Drive-In? That's Joe Bob's show now.
Yeah, the Last Drive-In.
Joe Bob was just literally the special features guy for a good 10 years. So this was a big movie he championed, and that's why he's kind of the commentary, the intro is on this. And then also I Spit in Your Grave. That DVD has a Joe Bob Briggs commentary on it, I remember, which is another great commentary with him. And then
I don't remember that. I'm sure I have that copy, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's a Joe Bob commentary. It's great.
I guarantee I have so many copies of that movie over the years.
And then at one point, and I think this movie, so Joe Bob had a line of DVDs in like 2004 to 2008 or 9. Where he would introduce the movies the way we all know he does it, the drive-in totals. A lot kind of more minimalist. There wasn't all the graphics on the screen and all the jokes and stuff like that. It was still him joking, but, a little more serious Joe Bob. As serious as he can be with movies like these. And it was, I think I own a couple of the DVDs, and they all are the same way. He has a commentary on it and an intro. That's it. He doesn't interrupt the the movie or anything like that. That would have been awesome if they had a version of it.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But no. And this DVD, this was the first time I had ever seen the movie was on this DVD.
Okay.
I knew nothing about it when I bought it. I don't even remember the year I bought it. I think I got this used at Kim's. And like I said before, the Joe Bob commentaries what sold me more than anything. And for a long time, this was the only way you could watch the movie was really on this DVD. And then I believe this DVD went out of print for a while. And it was worth a couple bucks until the 2022 Blu-ray from Arrow Video, which trumps this significantly. Like comparing the two releases is night and day. Obviously, everyone knows Arrow Video. They do a fantastic job kind of putting together these special edition Blu-rays. And I think this is also on 4K, correct, Manny? I believe this does have a 4K. I might be wrong. This is a fairly new release. It's a fairly new release. I think this came out like mid to late 2022. So it's not that old of a release.
Probably not.
Pretty easy to find.
They probably haven't done the 4K yet because they're still doing well with selling this.
Yeah.
Actually, no. No. This is a 2K restoration. So if they were going to do 4K, they'd have to do it again.
Yeah. So
they'd have to rescan it. So probably not. They probably only got the rights to do a 2K. Maybe somebody else is going to do 4K. I have no idea.
Who knows if anyone's even clamoring for a 4K version of Hell High.
Dude, it's all cost. It's all about what it costs to do that sort of thing. And a 4K restoration is way more expensive than a 2K.
No, I'm sure.
A lot of companies just do the 4K so that this way, and then they'll release, they'll do the 2K HD, like the Blu-ray with the DVD double, and then they'll end up doing the Blu-ray with the 4K, and then they'll do just the 4K, and they'll release it 3 separate times.
Yeah, I guess if they want to put in the extra work, that's a way to do it. Not extra work. Well, yeah, it's extra work if you want to.
It's all about money, really. It's all about the money.
And I'm sure it's very expensive.
Yes.
So why do that, especially when this is a fairly new release? Well, let's break down the packaging, because you and I have the same Blu-ray, different covers, obviously, because you showed yours a few minutes ago. Yep. You've got the Raging Fury cover. I've got the Hell High, I guess, new art that they put together. I'll be honest, and forgive me, I did not look up who is the artist behind this new cover. So my apologies in advance to whoever drew this wonderful art. And the Blu-ray itself, and in the back, let's flippity dippity, you've got Brooke as a little girl, Brooke Storm as a little girl, and then you've got the Creepy Swamp.
Creepy
Swamp. The movie, the infamous Creepy Swamp.
I like that it's actually a full wraparound art.
So it's cool that there's 2 options, 2 different slip covers for each of them. Let's go into the actual Blu-ray, and then we'll jump into the movie. Obviously, Arrow always also does this whole. They have a booklet with. I'm dropping it over here. They've got a booklet with lots of information.
Yep.
Which I did skim through in images.
And then other Hell High covers on the back.
Yeah. And talking about the movie, the people that helped with the restoration, crediting them. I love when they do stuff like this, just because it's, it's like as much information about the movie as possible is what you get whenever Arrow kind of, blows their whole load on a release. I do enjoy that because, it just gives everyone credit, the filmmakers and the people that were involved in the restoration and filming the special features, etc. Really good stuff. And you can't go wrong with an Arrow release, right? That's safe to say, right, Manny? You can't go wrong with that. So yeah, like you mentioned before, 2K scan of the original negatives. There's also so they ported over a lot of the stuff from the DVD that I own from 2004. So the commentary with the director, which we haven't even gotten into him yet, but we will in a minute, is ported over the original commentary, all the Joe Bob stuff, Joe Bob's commentary and Joe Bob's introduction, which we should comment. I love Joe Bob, but he is looking a little odd in that introduction. I don't know what that's all about.
I don't get it. It looks, it's weird. I had a feeling, like you said, he was doing intros for just DVDs and stuff. And I said, well, he was probably like, they give him a list of all the movies they're going to do intro, and then he just shoots them all.
Yeah.
I kind of get the feeling that maybe he had done like a zombie movie or something, because he's clearly wearing makeup.
Yes.
For lack of what I said to you earlier, for the lack of a better way of describing it, he looks like Tom Hanks at the end of Philadelphia.
Very sickly.
Like, he looks, he's all like, he's got all this contouring under his cheeks, his chin, his eyes. He looks like he's in the process of getting zombie makeup done.
Yes.
But there's no prosthetics yet. It's just like the shading.
It's very odd.
It is very weird, you know?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know what's going on.
Is Joe Bob sick? And then I'm looking, I'm like, no, that's makeup. Like, why would he do that?
And keep in mind, this is like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was 20 years younger than he is now.
He's even skinnier than he is now. Yeah, he was very young.
Very thin there, you know. So I did find, even when I watched it, I was like, is there something wrong with just the color of this, this video?
No, it's clearly makeup. He's clearly wearing
something.
makeup.
They were shooting something, and he just squeezed this in between two other things, more than likely.
Quite possibly.
But it's the standard Joe Bob stuff. It's great. It's him just kind of talking about the movie, talking about why he likes it. I highly recommend, if you own this Blu-ray or even the DVD, that you play his intro is like 3 minutes long. And it's, you know, if you like Joe Bob, you'll dig that. But besides the stuff that was ported over from that 2004 Shriek Show DVD, there's a brand new audio commentary with the director and cinematographer, as well as the archived one, the Joe Bob one. And then now we get into all the kind of extra bonus. And it's a lot of interviews.
There is.
Very interview heavy special feature like layout here for all the behind the scenes stuff. We've got an interview, obviously, with the director, which was very informative. I don't want to get into that yet because I think that's one of the more interesting aspects about all the behind the scenes stuff with this movie. Is probably one of the more interesting aspects. It's a nice long 45-minute interview with him. You know, he's just sitting there talking about the movie. Which is great. You've got one with the cinematographer. I'll say his name, Steven Fierberg. And he just talks about his rise to becoming a DP and becoming a cinematographer, and how he met the director, and the two of them got introduced and decided to work on this project together. Then you've got John's journey, which is the actor Christopher Cousin, who plays John, an interview with him. And that's about 30 minutes long as well. A lot of interviews. Then you have another interview with Maureen Mooney, who plays
the teacher,
Brooke Storm. Yeah, another
Mrs.
great
Tingle.
interview. Who I will say, out of all the interviews, this woman, you could tell she took this role very serious when you watch that. Like, she was no jokes. And you could tell, like, when you watch the movie, and we'll get into it, but like when you watch this interview, like, wow, when you watch this interview with her, and keep in mind, this is 40 years later almost, like, she still holds it in high regard. A silly slasher movie, slasher-esque.
She only made like 2, 3, 4 movies. She really didn't do much. So, I mean, I guess it was a big memory for her.
Yeah. There's also an interview with the composers, which I thought was probably my least favorite of all the interviews. They're a bit long just to talk to the two guys that scored Hell High.
It was. I watched some of that, and I was like, oh my God, what are these guys talking about? Like, some of it was interesting, but some of it was like, all right.
It had nothing to do with the movie.
Well, no, exactly. Because it even starts with the two of them hadn't seen each other in almost 40 years. So they were just like happy to be
just catching
up. Hi. Yeah, they were exactly. They were catching up. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, we're just, dude, cut, edit this. Like, I'm glad that they're happy to see each other, but like, it doesn't have anything to do with the movie. They're just sitting here like, oh, it's good to see you, man.
Which, when you watch these interviews, you can tell they set up the camera, one tripod angle.
I walked away.
Hit record.
the cameraman went to lunch.
Asked them a couple of questions and let these people just roll with it. Which I like, but at times, I think with the composers, they could have trimmed that back a little bit. But hey, whatever. Yeah. If you love Hell High, I'm sure you'll love a 30-minute interview with the composers that haven't seen each other in 50 years or 40 years. You've got this on location, back to schools, the locations of El High with Michael Gingold. All the locations, because this film was entirely shot in Westchester, New York.
Yep.
Upstate New York, not too far from where we're at, about an hour up. And it was cool to kind of see, the houses, the schools. 3 different schools were used to, as the one school in the movie. They used several different ones for different scenes throughout the film. Then there's archival interview, which was an interview that was, I believe, pulled from with the director, pulled from the DVD, and the writer and a bunch of other stuff. Then there's 2 really weird things. There's an alternate opening title sequence, which there's not much to it. That was a weird thing to add.
I added it to the Blood Slaughter DVD.
I get that, but
it's just one more thing that you just
something.
throw. Yeah, it's one thing that you can write it on the back and it seems interesting, and then you watch it and you're like, "What the hell is this?"
Okay,
too late. Already bought it.
Then there's a deleted scene with no audio.
Well, that happens.
Well, yeah, and the entire scene is literally just the kids scoping out the swamp for 2.5 minutes, and it's like
That's it.
I could see why this was cut out of the movie.
This isn't a deleted scene. This is B-roll.
Yeah,
this is just extra footage because some of that clearly was put in the movie. There were shots from those clips, so it's like this wasn't really deleted. It was cut. It was edited.
Yeah,
but I think it's just because they had the extra footage and hey, and we were able to they were able to restore it and make it look good. So it's worthwhile put it on the special features.
And I will say, just to give some more praise to Arrow and the restoration of this movie. The movie looks great.
It does. It
looks phenomenal. I watched it. I've seen it 3 times in the last week. So I can tell you right now, it looks fantastic. And it's a great... Listen, dude, sometimes it's hit and miss with some of these releases where, they say they restored the film and they did the best they could. With Hell High, I think they did a
really good job.
It's one of the better restorations I've seen recently, I'd say. Not of all time, but recently.
No.
What do you owe her? There are limits. There's certain laws we can't break. This is real trouble, real jail, a future. You're just a coward.
So Hell High, according to the internet,
and we all know if it's on the internet, it's true.
It definitely. It was released on May 12th, 1989. So some behind the scenes information. I know, Manny, you read about this as well. So what was it? It was shot in 85.
86.
Completed in 86. Yeah. I think it was completed in 86.
Yeah, approximately.
And then I think they were trying to get distribution, and sometime between 87 and 89, according to what the internet says, this movie got a theatrical release, but also a VHS release because some of those VHS tapes say 87 on them. So very strange.
Yeah.
With these low-budget movies from the 80s, and even this is the late 80s when you think about it, I just think they were probably sold overseas earlier, and then it didn't get its theatrical run until 89 here. Because when you watch the interviews and read about this movie, the director, he really wanted this movie to go theatrical. He really wanted to get this in theaters. Speaking of the director, this was written, directed, and produced by Douglas Grossman. That's who directed this. This is a passion project for this guy. Only movie he ever directed. And when you watch his interview, and this is why I didn't want to spoil it when we talked about the interview and the special features.
Joe Bob even says it in his intro that this movie is kind of a career killer for just about everybody involved.
And it's weird to say that because I feel there have been successful filmmakers that have made worse films and have a pretty steep filmography compared to Douglas Grossman. Now, he, from what I remember just watching all the interviews and reading about the film, he was a writer predominantly, and he went, he was from New York, moved to California, was a writer, and he would hang out, and he went to college, would hang out with his friends, and obviously it was the 80s, and slasher movies were the craze. They saw Halloween, Friday the 13th, all that good shit, and they were like, hey, we could make one of these. And that's what they did. They wrote a slasher movie, but it took like 5 years to get it made and to get it kind of produced, funded, completed, released. Obviously, because look at where we are with these dates. We're all over the place.
Yeah.
Similar to Zombie Nightmare, where this was probably worked on for 4 years and it's just 5 years and they just couldn't put it together quick enough.
It happens. It happens.
You know, it does. Independent film. Hooray. And when you kind of watch these interviews or the commentary, which I did watch I did listen to the new commentary, because I had listened to the original commentary years ago, and it's a lot of the same information, so I felt it would have been redundant to listen to both of them. Mm-hmm. And in the commentary, it's Douglas Grossman and the DP, and you could just hear how passionate they were about the movie and just how proud they are. They made this movie for themselves, and Douglas Grossman says it in both the commentary, I believe, and the interview, that he saw, after making this movie, he saw what Hollywood was, and that full creative control ain't a thing. No. You're basically a slave to whatever the studios want or whoever's financing this project. Yeah, they'll let you sprinkle some of your, flavor on it, but in the end,
you got to make the movie they wanted you to make.
Exactly. Yeah. And he didn't want any part of that. He wanted to make the movies he wanted to make. And this was the movie he wanted to make, Hell High. Which, funny enough, when they were writing this, it wasn't called Hell High because that was more of a marketing thing to sell the movie. It was originally called What Do You Want to Do Tonight? Was sort of the work title, I guess. And then Raging Fury, which we talked about. And then to get it into theaters to kind of capitalize on the slasher craze, Hell High was created, which would sell it more for fans of Friday the 13th and The Prowler and shit like that, Slumber Party Massacre. And it makes sense because if you think about it, what do you want to do tonight? Hell High. Which movie would you rather see? Hell High sounds like, what do you want to do tonight sounds like a comedy more than it does.
It kind of does.
Coming of age film.
Especially if you're going to have the kids on the cover in the car like that with what do you want to do tonight? Yeah, it looks like they're about to go on a a License to Drive kind of bad night out with the teens kind of License to Drive mystery date kind of thing,
Yeah. And Douglas Grossman, he was in California and wanted to shoot this in New York since he's from New York, and he came out here to shoot this movie. Now, one other thing I learned, just kind of all the research, watching the film and everything else, looking up information online. So they shot this movie. So he thought he could shoot this movie for $250,000, which is crazy. I don't know why he thought that. Just by even watching this movie, I'm like, $250,000. That sounds kind of absurd. He quickly realized that was not going to happen. So they shot the first half of the movie, had to stop to get more financing, and the budget ended in about $750 million. I was about to say $750,000.
Marvel movie over here.
I know. Avengers 7. No, $750,000. So still kind of to balloon from 250 to 750.
Yeah.
That's a big difference there. So he kind of underestimated, I guess, how much money he would need. And when you watch the movie, there's, not a lot of locations, but like the swamp, that entire football scene, like this scene has bigger.
See, and that made me think too. Like I remember like watching that, and we'll probably get into a little bit, but that whole scene seemed like you said, like this huge football game and everything. It's like, but it's actually quite unnecessary for the rest of the film.
Yeah.
The scene itself, like we get it. They're football players. They're high school football players. We don't actually have to see the game. We get it. They play football,
It wasn't necessary in the sense.
It was nice. It looked great. It expanded the film and made it feel bigger than it really was.
And they shot this on location with no permits. Like, so when you I think they had a couple of like the towns allowed them in like restaurants and at the school, obviously, but they allowed them to shoot. And that's kind of what they got away with. They got away with murder and a lot of shit they weren't supposed to do. This was also the late 80s. So,
well, I mean, we did that plenty of times.
Well, no, of course.
especially our first movies, when we were first shooting in Woodhaven, like, I grew up in Woodhaven. You spent a good portion of your life in Woodhaven too. Like, we know the neighborhood. We know what we can and cannot get away with. So there were plenty of times where we shot out in the park, or we shot places and we had nudity.
Yeah.
Yes,
we did do that.
We shot public nudity, and we got away with it because we just know the neighborhood. And we know, okay, here's when if we go here between the hours of like 9 and 11, no one's going to be there. We'll get it done. We'll knock it out and move
in and
get
out.
the hell. Yeah. And nobody will even know that we were there.
Yeah. And this movie, even watching it, kind of reminded me of what we went through back in the day with some of the stuff we shot. Just seeing it. It's funny. There's a scene in the movie where the kids, it's right after I wanted to mention it because we just mentioned the football stadium, but the football game scene, when they drive over the field and John catches the ball. It cuts and they're like on a highway, a random highway. So they're in the car, they're screaming and yelling, celebrating, and you see the car swerve into the next lane, like the oncoming traffic lane, and then swerve back because they were avoiding the camera. I learned that in the commentary. So the camera was, if you watch the scene, like, even looking at it, I was like, that looked dangerous when I was watching it without the commentary. And then when I had the commentary on, I was like, oh shit, that makes sense now.
The camera's sitting there.
The camera was right there, so they had to kind of like swerve out of the way to avoid hitting, which is both dangerous for the actors and the DP and the camera guy.
The guy sitting behind the car, like, is the camera guy going to move? Is he going to move? He's not going to fucking move.
And with a $750,000 budget, I'm sure the DP was his own camera guy. I'm sure he was running everything. So more than likely,
can't afford to destroy that camera.
Oh man, dude! I saw that scene, and in the commentary, I'm laughing because I'm like, "Yo, you could see them like veer to the right really quick, and then the camera flips and the angle changes, and you see them go back." So I was like, "All right, they just shot that twice to get both sides." So there you go, safety on the set of Hell High.
Oh yeah, that's real safe.
But yeah, again, passion project for Douglas Grossman. And whenever you listen to the commentary, or if you check out the commentaries, both of them, listen to his interview, and even listen to the DP, his interview, these people just loved making this movie.
Yes.
It was a situation where, unlike our boy from Zombie Nightmare, Douglas Grossman made the movie. He made the movie he wanted to make.
Yeah.
There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This was his final vision, and he was able to bring it to life.
And subsequently, just about his final film.
Yes. He did not direct anything else of note, I think, after this. I believe he continued on as a writer, is what he says in the interview. And from what I could see online, he has written some stuff. But this is his claim to fame. Yeah. Listen, man. He got an arrow.
That's it. He's got this and one, he wrote a film before.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And listen, they gave him an Arrow Blu-ray, a restoration of his movie. So he did something right. We're here talking about it. So there you go. The movie stars a bunch of unknowns. There's, similar to Douglas Grossman, a lot of these actors, except maybe one of them, really did not go on to do much. Two of them. Two really,
two that I recognize. One of them is is quarterback.
Okay. Christopher Cousin? John?
No, quarterback. The quarterback.
Oh, okay.
The quarterback, Daniel Beers.
Oh, okay.
Daniel Beer is he's the guy Poncho from Creepshow 2 in The Raft.
Wow, I did not recognize him at all.
Yep, that's it. He's the blonde guy.
Wow.
There's the one big tough guy and then the younger one. That's him.
And this was after Creepshow 2.
Yes.
Wow.
Creepshow 2 was his first film.
Interesting. That's cool. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. J.R. Horn, who I recognized, he I had to look it up because I remember him in a small role. He's in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Okay.
When the police band goes down and all the calls go through the new call center, and that one call woman, what's going on? And she goes, Mr. Turley, what the volume of calls in this just tripled in the last 10 minutes. And he says, excuse me, he's Mr. Turley.
I would have never guessed.
Yes, I recognized him, and then a third one I did recognize because I totally forgot about J.R. Horn until I was looking at the cast listing. I don't know how to say his name. Silk Cozart.
Okay.
He's on the football team. He's the black guy in the end of the movie with the quarterback when they're on the motorcycle together.
Okay. So he's the guy, not the guy they're trying to frame, the other dude.
Yes, the black guy. It's his motorcycle.
He's watching him. He's watching his car when John slashes the tires. Yeah.
Yes. That guy. He played a cop in a bunch of things, and I remember him. He's the main cop in Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson. He's been in a lot of movies.
Wow.
But that's the one I recognized him from. Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts in Conspiracy. He's the main cop that believes Mel Gibson.
What an interesting career some of these like supporting characters have.
Yeah.
More than the leads.
He probably has the biggest career of them all. Like he's a pretty featured extra. I see through here like he's in Eagle Eye with what's his name, King of the Ants. Conspiracy Theory. He was in the Sister TV show. He did a lot of TV. Diagnosis Murder. He's a lieutenant here. He's on this show. He's in Slam Dunk Ernest. Yeah,
there you go.
He played a cop a lot because he has that look to it.
Yeah.
He was in 3 to Tango. I remember him in that. Now that I'm looking at it, yep.
Wow, I would have never recognized that guy from any of these movies.
Yeah,
and honestly, dude,
as soon as I saw him in the diner, I'm like, who is that?
It's funny because these are all tiny supporting roles. None of the leads, except for John, really went on to anything else. And speaking of which, we should run down literally the 5 main characters.
The actual
in this
cast
movie.
listing.
The actual cast. So Christopher Stryker plays
sounds like
Dickens.
he should be in a Jan Michael Vincent movie, you know?
So the sad thing about Christopher Stryker, he's the main character, Dickens. He passed away of like AIDS, a few years after this movie. So yeah, he didn't really go on to do anything else.
Makes my Tom Hanks Philadelphia thing with Joe Bob not so
not very nice, man.
Wow.
There you go, getting us canceled again there.
See, Jesus.
But yeah, he passed away of AIDS a few years after this. So his career really didn't get to take off because he got sick. So that's a massive bummer.
Okay.
And I didn't know that until they said it in the interviews and the commentary. So I was like, oh shit, that's a bummer, you know. And he's really good in this as an asshole.
He is.
Kind of bully. Basically is what he is. He is the main dick of the. And it was funny, his name is Dickens. So,
I know he's Dickens.
His name is Dickens, and he's the main kind of dick of this gang.
His name is Dickens, and he's an asshole.
Yes. You've got Maureen Mooney as Brooke Storm, the teacher, the raging fury, the person that causes the hell high.
Yep.
Is Maureen Mooney. I mentioned them a couple times already. Christopher Cousin as John, the ex-football player gone rebel, part of this squad. You've got Millie Prezioso. There you go, butchered it, Louis. As Queenie, who was Douglas Grossman's girlfriend at the time. That's why she's in the movie. He says it several times in the commentary that was a ex-girlfriend of his. Oh wow!
I think her and Maureen Mooney gave the best performances of the film. I actually think they're the best, solid performances. So? I think so.
Yeah, I think Maureen's probably, I would say she's great, but she's like half asleep in most of the movie. She doesn't really say much. Like there's we haven't gotten into what happens in the movie yet, but like she's in bed at one point. She's pretty silent. She's got lines here and there, but she doesn't talk as much as the rest of the teens do. So it's like, yeah, it's a good performance, but it's a little subdued and kind of not really.
Well, she's tortured through a good.
Yeah, exactly. She is. In any other movie, she would be the antagonist of the film, but this is what I like about this movie. That's sort of flipped. And then last but not least in the cast, we've got Jason Brill as Smiler, or Smiler, I believe is how his character's name. He's kind of like the aw shucks chubby guy part of the crew. If I had to, honestly, out of this entire cast, my favorite, I think Christopher Stryker was. I think he just
he was great as an asshole.
It's a little over the top with some delivery of lines, but for the most part, I think when he's like being a creep or being vindictive and horrible, he's creepy to his friends. He's creepy to the teacher. He's kind of like a dick to everybody. He's drinking in the parking lot. He just, I thought, killed it in the Dickens performance. Queenie, she was all right.
I thought she was really good. She's
pretty sleazy too in this. She's pretty kind of
I was gonna say there's even a part where she gets creepy and it's like, whoa, where did this come from?
Yeah,
like it's sudden and I thought she did it really well. Like that, wow.
Yeah, she's and they're all pretty good for a movie of this caliber.
I do have a question for you though.
What?
What the hell is this movie about?
Yes, that's the big question. Before we dive any deeper,
damn near an hour into this, what is this movie about?
So the film opens. So the film opens with a little girl, Brooke Storm, playing in a swamp. And she's kind of just, talking to herself like normal 9-year-olds, I guess, do.
Little girl in this pure dress. White dress with the fluffer underneath it. And she's in a swamp.
And she's in a swamp talking to herself with dolls.
Having a tea party with her dolls in a shack in the middle of a swamp.
Literally an outhouse is what it looks like she's hanging out in. This biker greaser dude shows up with his girlfriend.
And Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Yes, he showed up. One of the greasers from the beginning of Zombie Nightmare show up. Young Adam West shows up in this movie. Same guy. But yes, the greaser, his girlfriend, the biker, I guess is a better way. The greaser biker shows up with his girlfriend. He's trying to have sex with her. He's all aggressive, rips her top open, boobs are out. He's kind of telling her, come on, babe. Well, you want this. Let's do our thing, blah, blah, blah.
And he doesn't let go of her tits either. He just he just keeps pushing on, like he's giving her CPR or something. He's just pressing on her chest.
Apparently that actor was a stunt guy, the stunt coordinator. So he was having a great time, I'm sure, grabbing those things.
Never done this before.
Probably why the scene looks the way it does. But yes, Brooke is watching all of this. She's watching through a hole in the shack. So as this attempted assault is happening between the biker and his girlfriend, the biker grabs one of Brooke's dolls, rips the head off, tosses it across the shack.
For no reason whatsoever.
And she's pissed off. What happens? Biker man, girlfriend, because the girlfriend's an idiot and actually wants to be with this guy. They get back on his bike. They pop a Yui. They're going to drive off. And what happens? Brooke grabs some of this mud slime that's in the swamp, chucks it at the biker's face, blinding him. They hit something, fly off of the bike, and impale themselves on spikes. That is the first 5 minutes of Hell High. Literally. That is how the movie starts. There you go. As crazy as that. What a ridiculous way to start a film. But I do love it, how fucking dumb it is.
It's so and honestly, it's another scene that was like, you don't need it. You really don't need it. I know they connect.
It's to establish,
but you actually didn't need it. You didn't even have to establish that because we'll get to it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue with the plot. We'll get to it.
So we jump forward 18 years and we meet up with Brooke, who is now a lonely high school teacher. I believe biology is what she teaches.
Yes,
cutting open frogs and shit. And she's dealing with, and this is kind of underdeveloped to an extent, but she's dealing with a PTSD from these murders she committed 18 years prior.
Yeah. We really don't even get into that until later.
Yeah, it takes some time.
At the moment, she's dealing with Dickens.
Yes. And at this point in the story, after we meet up with Brooke again years later, the story or the narrative kind of shifts the focus on our group of teens, which I talked about earlier. You've got Dickens, who we said, who's the leader of this group, the bully. He dislikes Brooke, the teacher, just because she gives them exams and she's an adult.
She's a teacher.
Yes,
Yeah.
She's an adult teacher and he's rebellious and just doesn't like her. There's this entire scene.
How
where,
dare that bitch give me homework? Like,
she gives him homework. He doesn't want to give her the papers of the exam. He throws them all over the floor. He's just a dick.
Yeah, she does like nothing out of the ordinary to him.
Nothing to antagonize him at all.
For the way he gets so upset with her and the way I'm going to get her, she did like nothing to him.
Yes.
She literally told him collect the papers and file them. And he collected them and lost his shit.
Yes, he did.
And it's like,
He's
dude.
dissecting frogs. He does not like to dissect frogs.
He tried to eat the frog.
Yes, I know.
Dickens, what do you want? Well, they say you're a coward, and they say that I'm a crazy son of a bitch, no good for nothing.
Yeah? So what's the point?
Well, we have a good time, and we're all rejects from this place. All they try and do at this school is mold us into exactly everything that we hate.
I don't know, Dickens. I heard some pretty strange things about you.
We've also got John, who's a jock who
Just quit the football team.
Yeah, I quit the school. I said quit the football team. He quit the school. He quit the football team and wants to be a part of this ragtag group of misfits. He needs an edge. He's not edgy enough.
That's it. He's not edgy enough.
We've got Queenie, who is the female member of this group, who is John's sort of love interest, but she also kind of has this weird thing with Dickens.
She's into John,
Yeah.
but Dickens is into her, but he's not into her so much. It's just that he's the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
So
it's
he
weird.
gets the girl. That's it. Like, those are things that he says. Like, I'm in charge here. I'm the leader here. You know, you're mine. Like,
yeah, he
and
spanks
she's
her
like,
butt at one point, and like she doesn't ask for it. He's just kind of violating her.
He's in charge. He gets to choose what they do. He gets to choose who he fucks and who they don't, you know?
But I will say, and one thing, you know, before we get to the last character, who I already kind of told, Smiler is the last one, and he's, again, stereotypical chubby sidekick. But to go back to Queenie, one thing I do like about Queenie, and I didn't say this when we were talking about the cast, Queenie isn't like a damsel in distress in this movie, which I like.
Not at all.
She is pretty equal in this gang, in this group of friends. Besides John wanting to like that, like even John doesn't treat her as a piece of meat.
Yeah.
You know, Dickens, again, with kind of grabbing her butt and stuff, but even he doesn't. Like, he hands her the bottle of Jack Daniels. She's a part of the crew,
She's
like the guys.
She's like Trash in Return of the Living Dead. She does her own thing.
Yeah.
You know, not like the other girl. What's her name's girlfriend?
Yes, no.
Not like her.
No,
she
like
does
her.
her own thing. She has her own dialogue.
Yeah.
She's got a character.
Yes.
You know?
And again, I like that she's on equal playing field with the rest of the male characters in this gang. Like, there's no belittling her at all. And honestly, she wants John more than I think John wants her. Like, he likes her, but she's really kind of pushing for that shit. So to go back, Dickens, our boy Dickens, wants revenge on Brooke and plans to have himself and the rest of the squad take slime, coincidence, convenient.
Mud from the same swamp. Yes.
Muddy slime, whatever, from the swamp. They're going to wear Halloween masks.
Well, it's because there is a legend. There is a legend,
which I kind of brushed over here.
Yeah, there's a legend of these people who were killed in the swamp, and I think they drowned in the slime.
Yeah.
You know, so they've decided that they're going to take that legend and bring it to life. They're going to wear masks. They're going to go to the teacher's house, and they're going to cover the house in slime. Basically, going to toilet paper her house, but with the slime.
With slime.
Yeah.
It's all of that is literally said in one line of dialogue.
Yes, yeah, it's really quick. It's really
brushed over.
But
even I saw this movie 3 times and forgot.
Yeah, but through the course of it, they say it a couple of times. Like she says it, the curse. The curse is real. It's real. You know. So then they realize later on that she's the little girl, and they go, "Oh my God, it's true." You're her. Like,
so they get their Halloween mask, they get their slime, they go to her house, they jump on her roof, they start pounding on it, stepping on it, jumping on it, scaring the shit out of Brooke.
And this is where the PTSD really kicks in. Where she starts seeing flashbacks of them. Because as soon as she sees the mud and the mud hits her, she steps outside and they pour the bucket of mud over her head, almost like Carrie, and she gets a flashback to her throwing the mud in the motorcyclist's face. Yeah. And she just breaks down.
Yeah, and then you have Brooke's friend shows up, gives her some drugs.
The
other coach shows up. She's supposed to there's a lot of I brushed over stuff because we'd be here all day, but there's a whole thing with her and one of the coaches going to the game, and her other friend from school, another teacher or whatever coach that she's friends with, shows up, gives her drugs. She basically passes out.
She puts her to sleep.
Yeah, it basically knocks her out. It doesn't even knock her out. She's high, basically. Yeah. She is conscious. But she's all fucked up with the PTSD and also half asleep. So Dickens gets the bright idea, because he kind of is turned on by Brooke. As much as he sees her naked.
In the movie, him and John earlier went to the teacher's house to try and I guess stake it out a little bit and figure out what's. And as they get to the window, she's taking a shower.
And they're watching her.
Yes, and they watch her, and suddenly Dickens is all like, "Ooh, she's got it! Look at her, but she's hiding under that," So
it's almost like he's, because you never get the sense that he's creepy, but not wanting to perform a sexual assault. I didn't think we watched it the first time. You don't get that at all from him.
Until he sees her in the shower, and it's the most sexual shower. Her in the shower, the way they shot this, it's is she masturbating? She's not.
No.
But she's clearly enjoying the hell out of this shower. This is the best feeling water.
Yes. It's warm. It's soapy. The suds are running down her chest.
She's rubbing herself and her hands up. And it's that's not how people shower.
It's a very Cinemax After Dark shower that she's taking.
It totally is.
Yeah. So there's a little behind the scenes info I could tell you about this that they sent. So all of the boobs in this movie, minus the set in the beginning.
I knew it.
Stunt boobs.
I knew it. Yes. I knew it. I was going to bring that up later. I knew it.
Now, the scene with Brooke in the shower, those are not her boobs.
No, clearly.
I think, obviously, her taking off the robe or the nightgown, and you see some booty. You see a little bit of side situation.
Little bits. Very,
That's
very
her, but it's a little more tasteful and conservative in a way. It's very quick.
Yeah. And it's through the window, I think, too. They did it from farther away. So
yes, which was a fake window, by the way. I learned that in the commentary as well. Queenie also shows boobs at one point.
Yep, not hers.
Stunt boobs as well, not her boobs. So they had to hire people to show nudity. Yeah. Hence why I guess they were paying someone to do the boob action. So they were like, you know what? Might as well make it sexy and rub soap all over them.
Do it up. Yep.
Which makes sense. And I will say, and I mean this respectfully, the stunt boob for Brooke, she's got a lot more going on up there than the actual actress does. And you can kind of, it does not look like her.
No.
There is definitely a change in the shape and size from the actual actor to the stunt boobs. But yes, this gets Dickens all excited. So while Brooke is passed out because of the drugs, Dickens becomes a sexual predator and decides he's going to sexually assault Brooke, feel her up, do things to her. Queenie comes across Dickens doing this, and she gets in on the action, which you alluded to earlier, where she kind of jumps on top of Brooke. Yeah,
she's like, look, you're going to do this? Let me show you how to do it. It's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Exactly, which goes back to what I said earlier. She is literally on equal grounds as these perverted, as Dickens, and the other guy, except for John, who's actually the kind of humble good guy of the story. But yeah, Sadie. Queenie is ready to be rapey as well. So in this scuffle and the kids showing up and what's going on here, blah blah blah, Brooke has a nervous breakdown. She throws herself out of the window. The second story house out of the window.
Through the window.
Yes,
like,
through the window.
Through
like
the
she
window
does like
pane and everything. Like
she does a
swan
fucking turn,
dive.
swan dive, everything. It's great. Great shot. Throws herself out the window. The kids think she's dead. Spoiler alert. She's not. She's not dead.
And she comes back.
And she comes back, raging fury. So the group come up with the bright idea to frame the quarterback football guy, the blonde guy you mentioned, and have him take a rap.
His name is literally quarterback. They just call him quarterback. That's it.
So they're gonna give him. They're gonna use his jacket. They're gonna have John grab the jacket, find him somehow. They know he's hanging out at this diner. Grab his jacket, steal it, take it back to Brooke's house, leave it there so that the cops can find it and frame him. That's basically their plan.
Yeah, because John and Dickens got into a fight with him earlier because after John left the team is now teasing John he's a pussy, he's a wuss, he's a big baby, no, you're a quitter and all this. And so they get into an altercation with the quarterback in the beginning. Quarterback, again, is the guy from Creepshow 2.
Yeah, and it's weird because it's, he's a jock and Dickens is like the rebellious guy. Yeah. So it's really just a strange dynamic between hating the quarterback, but John technically is a football player too. So whatever. Logic doesn't really make sense, but it is what it is. Yeah. That's
but
their
at the
plan.
same time, there is a bit of a rivalry between John and Dickens as well. It's more of a friendly rivalry, but Dickens is still threatened by John. Yeah. Especially when he finds out that Queenie likes him.
Yeah. And John, he's the one that leaves the house to go on his mission to find this jacket, which involves a motorcycle crash and explosion, which is
ridiculous. But
they pulled it off. They pulled it off with a low budget. Yeah. So cool.
See, and again, back to those things. It's just another thing that it's like you didn't need it. It didn't add much to the scene, but keep going. Yeah.
But yeah, surprise, surprise. Like we said, Brooke Storm, she's alive and well and delusional and wanting to get revenge on these teens. Yeah, all of the above.
She now sees them as the teens in the beginning.
Yeah, she wants to kill them.
Yeah. Why did you rip my doll's head off?
Yes. This is where the bloody massacre, I guess you can call it, begins. That involves head bashing with a rock, pencil stabbing through the forehead, fire poker through the chest, and the film ends with John witnessing all of these teenagers because Dickens dies, Queenie dies, and Smiler dies. Yep. John, and obviously Brooke dies as well. She gets stabbed in the scuffle. She gets stabbed in the neck.
Die together.
Dickens, they die together. And John witnesses this. He leaves the jacket, kind of getting away with murder and getting away with this whole scenario, going back to school and basically inheriting Miss Storm's PTSD himself.
Yes.
The movie literally ends with a teacher going up to him and him screaming at the camera because he thinks he sees Miss Storm in front of him. And that was Hell High.
We gotta go down to the swamp first.
Man, I don't like that place.
It's part of the plan.
Plan? We have a plan?
Tonight, I have the ultimate plan.
This plan doesn't have anything to do with the storm, does it?
We're gonna do this right.
All right, Manny. So this was a first-time watch for you. I had never seen a Zombie Nightmare when we covered that in our last episode, and you had never seen this. Nope. What did you think of Hell High? I am so curious.
It's a decent movie. It's not a bad movie at all. I, for the most part, enjoyed it. It's not what I expected, especially again, looking at the cover and on everything. I was expecting a slasher movie, and a lot of things call it a slasher movie, but this is not a slasher movie.
No,
it's really not. Even the reviews at the time said it was a slasher movie with an intelligent script. This is not a slasher movie. This is it's a home invasion revenge film. This is not a slasher. It has elements of a slasher because she's picking off the kids one at a time. But it's a revenge thing. They're in her house. They're literally waiting for John to come back with the jacket so that they can frame the quarterback because they think she's dead. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like, as I said a couple of times, there's a few moments in the film that were just unnecessary. Not that they were bad. They didn't take away from the movie. But considering what you said about how they had money troubles, they had to stop filming for a while and they had to go get more money and come back. I could think of at least 3 or 4 sequences in the film that had they cut those, had they not shot those, they probably would have saved a good $100,000, maybe $200,000. Probably would have saved a ton of money, and it wouldn't have changed the story itself. I say the football game, you didn't need it. Like, they play football. Why do we have to see them play football? Now you need a football field. You need a football game. You need football fans. The whole thing, it's like you spent a ton of money on this scene. It was unnecessary.
Yeah.
You know?
It's funny, too, because so this movie's an hour and 24 minutes, give or take.
Yeah.
And similar to, Zombie Nightmare, which is also a relatively short film,
yeah.
If we were to cut these scenes out, the movie would be an hour long.
Yeah,
so
yeah, like when like you said, the motorcycle. The two of them are a quarterback and the other guy are on the motorcycle and they're chasing John, and John turns the car around and comes at them. And he swerves toward them, causing the motorcycle to fall. And the motorcycle slides and hits some random car that's sitting there, and it explodes. There's no need for the explosion. That's another probably $30,000 you spent on a motorcycle and the pyro and everything to shoot 30, 40, 50 grand to shoot this and it doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
it does nothing.
It was there to give it a bigger feel. I think he was trying to make the movie seem bigger than it actually was.
Which I totally get.
Yeah.
So I feel like that there were just some things like you spent money on stuff that you didn't have to. You could have been that again, that's just nitpicking because it doesn't take away from the movie at all. It's not like these scenes were like, this is so stupid. Why did they do this? No, I'm just looking at it from a filmmaking perspective. I don't need to blow up a motorcycle. They fall off the motorcycle and freaking the handlebar could break. And I get that the point of the motorcycle was that John couldn't get back on the bike and keep chasing him.
Yeah.
But it's like you could have popped the tire or something,
Yeah.
You could have, you know what I mean? You could have given him a flat tire on the motor. Just there's 100 other ways to immobilize a motorcycle without blowing it up in the middle of the street.
You need to blow it up, man. If you can blow up a motorcycle,
of course, if you can blow up a motorcycle, you're going to blow up a motorcycle. Absolutely.
Listen, man, Douglas Grossman was able to blow up a motorcycle, he was going to.
Dude, he aimed high. He shot for the stars, And I also feel the opening scene with the little girl, it's like it was unnecessary. Mm-hmm. You didn't need that to justify the teacher's revenge against them. Like, that whole backstory could have done with that. Like, if you take the backstory out, take the curse out. Now it's just a bunch of kids who are going to mud the teacher's house. Fine, they live near a swamp.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the opening of this movie reminds me of the opening of Prom Night. It's very reminiscent of just sort of, it's a quick scene, a cold open.
It is. And
scene.
That
well,
was
this isn't even a cold open because this is after the titles, but still a scene, very short.
It was a popular thing to do back then. Though.
Yeah, but it motivates. And this will go to something I do actually really like about this movie. Its unconventional nature.
It does.
It motivates what Brooke is doing at the very end and her character arc throughout the whole movie. So I get why they added. I mean, I guess you could have done it in some flashbacks, maybe once or twice to hint at it that there's something wrong with this woman.
Yeah,
kind of like Carrie.
My
but
opinion was,
you know,
I felt like you didn't even need it at all. I don't think anything had to be wrong with her. Once those kids are tormenting her and they're doing this, like, okay, fine.
She just snaps. Yeah.
She doesn't even have to snap. She does kind of snap, but she's all upset and she's scared. And then the friend comes in and drugs her. And then this guy tries to rape her.
Yeah. You're taking it more in a traditional rape revenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They do enough to her that it's justified when she fights back. You know, we didn't need her to be crazy in order to justify the ending. You know?
And that's what I think, and that's what I like about the movie. Again, the fact that technically it's not a slasher movie.
No, it's not.
And if this movie was made in 2024, it would be a home invasion movie. That's literally, it'd be like something like You're Next, but with assault. You know? Or like the new I Spit in Your Grave movies, but more contained. Yeah. Where there's a house and there's, you know, and it's funny when you watch this movie. So, and there's other stuff I like about it. So like, I'm a big fan of The Mask, obviously. I like the way the four mask look. We didn't even really get into it, but we can talk about it here. Like, there's certain things I feel like Douglas Grossman added to this movie so that it fits that slasher. Like, it hits certain beats that a slasher movie has. So, have a killer or something with an iconic mask. So you've got Dickens and the crew all wearing really distinct Halloween masks, each one of them.
And Which is funny.
In the commentary, he says his influence was Clockwork Orange, which makes sense.
Yeah, one of them's got the nose. Yeah,
and when you think about it, when they in Clockwork Orange, when they go into the writer's house and assault his wife, they're all wearing the mask, and Alex has the long kind of hot dog, whatever Pinocchio nose thing in his face. It makes sense. That was the influence. And I could see that. And that's, to me, more so the route he was going in with this movie than, like, Jason Voorhees killing a bunch of kids. Because in reality, really the killer's not a bad guy.
I would think that if you're going to, like, he's specifically doing that with the masks, I see absolutely no cover art anywhere that has the masks on it.
Except for the new one. Except for this one.
Yes, except for the new one. Yeah, the one that Arrow made. Why, if that was such a specific thing that why is it in none of the promotional materials?
Well,
it's funny, it could have been very Strangers-like, where it's just, who are these people in masks?
Dude, I'm surprised when this movie came out in 89 that they didn't use one of the kids in that mask to market it, because in 89, at that point, we had Halloween
was through the roof.
Yeah, Jason. All those guys at that point were all. So I'm surprised you're right that the cover art, like the team that were marketing this and just pushing the movie in theaters, didn't use the mask. Instead, they used her, like the teacher holding I keep saying pitchfork, the fire poker. It's weird because even like on this cover, which is a new cover, you know, made for this release, the masks are front and center. And they are, it's a pretty prominent set piece when they're wearing the mask. And even Dickens going in and sitting on top of her wearing it, and then he takes it off. And I think the masks are great. Like, just the overall tone when they put them on to kind of just hide their identity, that they're these cheap Halloween masks. It works so perfectly in like a home invasion scenario. But then you also have to think, at this point, home invasion movies were not a thing. So we're looking at it through a different lens, where we're used to stuff like You're Next and Strangers and things like that.
That's so true. Like, you really did. You had a bunch of Halloween movies. You had Friday the 13th, which was every year. Yeah. You had just done, Halloween 4?
Halloween 4 was like the year before, 88, yeah. Halloween 5 came out in 89. So
Texas Chainsaw 2 was 86. Nightmare on Elm Street doesn't really have a mask, but still, that whole slasher.
Child's Play already had come out, like, you know,
Child's Play was 90.
No, it was 80. 1988, 88. 90 was the second one. The second one was 90, I think.
Really? Wow.
I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it's interesting because I've always loved that aesthetic, and it's weird that they didn't really go that route to kind of just trick people. Like, use that to trick audiences into thinking. I'm
surprised they didn't.
And I could see people in 89 going to see this movie being like, what the fuck is this? This isn't a Friday the 13th movie or My Bloody Valentine or whatever, The Prowler, which has a costumed killer. Because if you watch the trailer, from what I remember, you do see a shot of the masks. So it's in there to sort of promote the movie. It's an odd choice, you know, just to go this route. But I think that's what's so strong about the movie. It's one of those films that I feel like got appreciated later because, again, like always, ahead of its time. A lot of the times.
Yeah, in Joe Bob's commentary, that he says how it got passed off as being just another slasher, but the slasher craze was dying down.
Yeah, 89
so it got
was
passed.
Over.
Yeah, so it got passed off as being just another slasher, which is why nobody saw it. But it's not just another slasher. So it almost feels like maybe they did market it as that but I feel like maybe if they had marketed with the 3 or 4 of them in masks, it would show it as, this is a little different. This isn't like one crazy woman with a knife, which is really what it looks like. Either that or when you look at when you look at the cover, the kids are in the car, and then you see the silhouette of her with the knife behind her. It seems like a crazy woman with a knife movie.
It's a slasher movie.
You know?
There's a killer and kids.
Exactly.
So
that's what it looks like. But if it had been more about, if they had actually marketed it with the 4 masks or something, it might look like we have a group of killers here. And this is different. This is not Michael Myers. This is not a female Michael Myers. It's not Mother's Day or, you know.
No, for sure.
I'm picturing like 2-3 other movies in my head, and I can't think of what. like I'm picturing the posters, and I can't think of what the names of the movies
Sleepaway
are.
Camp. I don't know, like one of those movies
you know?
in that realm. Like I said, that's what to me is one of the things I really like about it. How different it is when you line it up with some of the other movies that were coming out at the time that this was pretending to be, when in reality it wasn't. One thing that always, and even the pacing of the movie is a little off, and I can see why people maybe don't like it. A lot of people don't like this movie, and there's people that do like it. You know, in the beginning, you've got that whole scene with Little Brooke killing the biker dude and his girlfriend. There is literally no violence until the last 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in 89, when people went to go see this movie, they must have been bored out of their mind if they thought they were going to see us. And you almost wish there was a little bit of gore, like maybe something in the middle. But in reality, how could you have done that? You know, Queenie gets killed first, which she gets bashed in the head with a rock. Pretty decent effect. Looks cool. And then you've got the pencil kill, which... I can't think of another slasher movie where someone gets stabbed in the head with a pencil and dies from it. That's a unique kill. Joe Bob even mentions it. He's like, that's, you know, it's a pencil kill. Like, you can't think of what other movie does someone murdered by just being killed by a number 2 pencil.
Natural Born Killers.
Oh yeah, you're right. Which you mentioned
Judd.
one of our live episodes. There you go. Funny enough, that I didn't even think about that. And then the fire poker, obviously. But yeah, there's not a lot of violence in the movie. Like, it almost doesn't even warrant, obviously it's gory, but it almost doesn't even warrant the R rating. Apparently they had trouble with the MPAA. Like, they had to like cut stuff out. I'm so curious what was cut from this movie, because like the pencil kill is not that violent.
No.
It's not like he's gushing blood. The most violent kill is probably the bashing to Queenie in the head with the rock.
And that looks really good because they use it looks like they used the foam rock, so she just kept hitting her. And it's like, wow, that's actually looks really good.
Yeah,
they probably took a foam rock and had blood underneath it, so every time she hit her, it just got bloodier.
Yeah, but it's really not,
and it's really not even that bloody. No,
it's really not. So that's why when I saw that they had trouble with the MP, I guess maybe with the nudity, but even the nudity could have been cut out. Those boobs could have been cut out completely.
They totally could have.
The actor lifting their shirt and then lowering. But again, when you listen to the commentary, he said there were certain things they were trying to hit to have this movie follow in the steps of all the other slasher films that were coming out at the time. So you had to have boobs, you had to have some gore, you had to have
the stuff to sell it,
killer. So really weird and just a movie that, you know, I feel more people should appreciate because it was trying to do something so different in 1989 when, you know, like you said, slashers were kind of a decline. I will say, you know what's one thing is a missed opportunity at the end of this movie, man? The dissection. She should have dissected.
Oh, that bothered me so much.
I know. Because it's foreshadowed with the frogs.
When she got, I was like, oh, yes, here we go. And then nothing.
Almost like, did they originally want to dissect?
Probably. And those are the sorts of things where I'm like, to hell with the football game, forget blowing up a motorcycle, spend the money on dissecting this kid, on doing the effects to have her cut him open. Spend the money there.
Like, that's how Dickens should have died in the movie.
It's like, don't go in the house.
Yeah.
That there's only, like, he's killing people via a flamethrower.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, that's really hard to do. They did it once, though, in the movie. And they did it. And one time he kills a couple of people with the flamethrower, but there's one time, the first time, you see it, and the camera doesn't cut away. And that sells the whole film. The rest of the film is not very gory, it's not bloody. It's really kind of slow like this. It's got that character building, you know? But by having that one shot, it sells the entire rest of the film. And that shot is honestly really, really disturbing.
That's what everyone remembers from that movie. Yeah.
I mean, because it's the shot, but that's what makes the movie what it is. If they had something like that in this film, it might have gone a whole lot farther. But considering what you said earlier, they had problems with the MPAA, they probably would have gotten that cut out too. If they already had issues, that would have been like, no, forget it. This, you got to cut. They would have spent all this money to have it cut out.
Because in the end, when they kill Brooke, all that happens is Dickens falls on top of her. Mm-hmm. He's impaled by the poker.
And he has the knife in his hand, right?
Yeah, because he slits her throat.
I'm gonna kill her. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah. That's right. He lands
falls
on her.
Yeah,
and she's holding the poker that they had just thrown.
That seems like the only kind of effect, because you see the poker go through him, and it's kind of violent, but it's really not that bloody. It's weird. But she's bleeding
more.
Knife
in her neck. It's just
Yeah. So it's interesting. And again, all the gore is the last 10 minutes of this movie, the very end, and then the very beginning. It's literally bookend by death. Everything else is like teen angst and sexual assault. Creepy mask. That's literally
nothing major there.
That's literally the movie, dude. It's just like sexual assault and that. But listen, man, I like it. Is there anything else you didn't really care for in the movie? Like anything you didn't really like?
No, I mean, no, that's pretty much just those few things. And as I say, they don't even take away from the film. They're just like, okay, you could have done without it and it wouldn't have changed anything. And we probably could have gotten a dissection at the end of the movie because they would have had the money to do it.
Yeah, you know? He was dedicated. He was dedicated in making the movie he wanted to make, man. And I think that's, similar to Zombie Nightmare. The thing I do, and when you watch Douglas Grossman talk about this movie, you hear the passion in his voice when just describing the experience. He was like 29 years old when he made this movie.
The same way with Zombie Nightmare. You could hear the disappointment in his voice of what he wanted to make and what he ended up making. He was really disappointed with that, with the final product.
In this case, though, this guy was happy.
Yes,
literally.
Yeah.
Dude, in the commentary with him and the DP, they're just going back and forth, patting each of themselves on the back. Well, it's pretty hysterical.
It seems like he had a better relationship with his producers. Remember, in Zombie Nightmare, the main thing was the fact that the producers were just lying to him. They were telling him they had money when they didn't have it.
Well, I think this was him finding the money.
Yeah, that's him. He had a better relationship.
They let him do whatever. You do whatever you want, man. That's kind of what they let him have free reign in whatever he wanted to do. So whoever was giving him money probably was like, as long as you pay me back, we're good. Yep. And that's probably what he did. He made some money, paid them back. They made maybe a little bit of an investment.
I don't even think they made that much.
Probably not.
Oh wow, they actually did do fair, right? Did they? Nope. Nope. I'm looking. I had it up here and I changed. Okay. Total. You said it cost what, $750? Yeah. Total $187,000.
Oh, so there you go.
This made like a third of the budget back, tops.
Yeah.
A quarter of it. Yeah.
I'm sure maybe video, he made a little money, possibly. It probably did better on VHS in the rental market in '89.
Might be doing better now via Arrow than it ever did before.
Probably people just talking. Look, we're talking about it, man. So I'm assuming, and this is a long game movie. In the long run,
I don't think they wanted it to be a long game movie.
It became a cult. Listen, man, a lot of people love this movie, even though it was probably a failure when it came out. But people dig it, man. I've always liked it. I've always thought it was a good movie. Is it a little kind of slow in the center? I think it is, but I think the performances and the chemistry between the kids is so good that you don't get bored and you're curious where it's going, And then I will say, in my opinion, I know you said you liked Queenie more. Dickens really kind of keeps the energy high throughout just by his assholeness throughout the entire film, because there really is no slasher moments until the very end.
You brought this up a while ago. I thought I watched it fairly recent. I hadn't, because I have my Letterboxd. I watched it June of last year. It was the first time I watched it, and because we were planning on doing it then.
Yeah.
and we never did. And you kept putting. Finally, you pushed and said, "Let's do it." All right. So I actually watched it today, just before the show, because I was like, I can't remember a damn thing about the movie. Like, I didn't even write a review for it then, because I was planning on watching it a couple more times, and then I just never did, because we never planned the episode. But here we are now. It is definitely a movie that I think people should check out. It's, you know, that it's got that class of 1984 with little bits of, like, imagine the group, the Last House on the Left group in high school.
Yeah.
Kind of what it is. Them in high school, so they're a whole lot more tame, but they're clearly on their way to being horrible people.
Yes, they're working up the ladder to be the shittiest people they can be.
Yeah, seriously.
Climbing up the ladder.
Dickens is totally like a 17-year-old Krug.
Yeah, I can see that.
You can totally see that he would become that way. And Queenie is very much like a young Sadie.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Like, this is their first foray into really being baddies.
Yeah,
you know.
And it's funny, you saying you saw it in June and forgetting kind of sums up the movie. It's just it's a great movie, but a lot of people forget it exists.
Yeah.
So I'd recommend at least giving it one watch.
Mm-hmm.
Check out Hell High. Let us know
if
what
you
think.
can.
If you can, yes. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's got, when it does get gory, it pays itself off, kind of just it pays off at the end with leading up to, with all the tension to the gory moments. And I just think it's a fun little rape revenge, is a little more what I'd call this than slasher movie.
You never should have hurt my dolly.
Doll? What doll? Please, Miss Storm, please, 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 please.
You should have stayed dead in the swamp where I left you.
Oh my God, the swamp legend. You.
So that was 1989's.
Or 88s, or 86s, maybe 87.
Maybe 1990. Who the hell knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
But yes.
It was 2003's.
Maybe. But yes, 1989's Hell High. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com to show us a little love and join our Patreon page where you'll get access to bonus spooky content.
And make sure you rate and review us in all those wonderful places that he just rattled off. I got nothing today. I usually have a little something. I don't have anything. Here, just
you're not Italian today.
Couldn't think of anything. There's no Italian in this, and the only other thing I could just attempt to rape myself. I don't know if that's gonna work.
I don't think that's gonna work.
It's gonna work.
But yes, as always, remember the best cure for a hangover is
more booze.
Catch you guys later.